Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our webinar. Again, my name is Courtney Austin, and I'm the Marketing Coordinator here at AIM. Today's webinar will be recorded and later posted to our website. So this does mean that all attendees will be automatically muted so that we can get a quality recording. If you do have any questions throughout the webinar, feel free to type them into the chat box, and we'll have a member of our marketing team reach out to you individually after the webinar to answer them. Our next webinar is on March 23rd, which is next Wednesday at 9 a.m. PDT. It will be presented by our Regional Marketing Director, Nicholas Flowers. It'll be about dental vision products. So with that, I'll go ahead and hand it over to Mike so we can get started. Go ahead and take it away, Mike.
Great. Thanks, Courtney. Courtney does a great job of putting all this stuff together for us on all these different webinars and such that we have. So,
Mike, just a heads up. I appreciate that. We cannot see your screen currently. If you could go ahead and show your screen, that would be great.
How's that?
Doing great. Thank you.
Well, see, it's the little details that the marketing coordinator takes care of for us. So, all right. Anyway, good morning. Mike Anderson here, joined once again by my colleague, Aaron Cassover, our marketing technology specialist. Aaron, say good morning to everybody.
Good morning. Good to be here.
Yeah, we're really looking forward to this. Aaron and I have a lot of wide-ranging conversations, pretty much on a weekly basis, and it was out of a different conversation and some prep work we were doing for another webinar that the seeds of this webinar sort of were thrown out and began to germinate. And we're really excited about the ability or the time to talk with you about this topic. And based on the numbers of attendees that we're seeing here, it looks like there's a high level of enthusiasm and excitement out there in the field. So over the next 30 or 40 minutes or so, we're going to spend some time and give you some basics, including the basics that Aaron is great at in terms of getting you to be able to start selling long-term care in 30 minutes or less. So webinar-wise and agenda-wise, we're going to tell you a story that you need to hear. And honestly, it's a story that you've heard before, but that doesn't change the fact that you need to hear it again because it's central to this whole idea. It's central to what we have done here for 40 years, okay? One of the great situations that we find ourselves in now is that we have more better solutions for you than we've had in a long time. There were several years where it was essentially Mutual of Omaha in a one-horse race. Well, now we have 3 traditional carriers. We've got a worksite carrier. We've got multiple hybrid options available. So as you are having conversations with clients and what they're telling you gives you clear criteria that they're considering, you're going to be better positioned to help them. All right. We'll talk about how it was that all these different things kind of came together now, fused, if you will, into something that you can really make a great opportunity out of. And when we finish up towards the end, we're going to show you a proven way to do all of this. And it's important to note, there's some basic things that you're going to want to do right after the end of this webinar. The marketers will be following up with you, getting the I's dotted and the T's crossed. But this proven way that we're going to show you about how to do this, it won't do itself. It will require you to take some very basic steps. It will require you to be proactive, but that's okay because you're going to feel more confident, I'm sure, of this after seeing what we have and how we have this all packaged together. So the first thing we want to talk about is the opportunity. And it's important to know that based on what we've seen in the last 18 months, we know this will work if you will follow these steps. As noted here, one of the big questions over the last 10 years is whether the industry, our industry, let America down by walking away from a situation that agents in the field viewed as difficult, all right? But the truth, no matter what we think, the truth is that Americans are used to having difficult conversations, all right? And this doesn't have to be a difficult conversation, but our industry did turn away for the most part when the public needed us more than ever. And a great part or a great piece of that need was driven by the baby boomer generation. And you've heard all the numbers, so I'm not going to repeat that, but we are going to talk about a change in what we say and a change in what it is that we ask from these folks as we work with them. So again, staying with opportunity, you get a confluence of factors here that are going on, okay? One of which, and we'll talk more about it in a minute, is awareness at a level that we haven't seen in years, okay? Along with that, again, you've got this product set that has sort of coalesced to where you can solve virtually any problem in terms of the construction. There are clearly underwriting situations that we won't be able to solve, or that's never going to change, okay? But this confluence of factors is really important, and it has set the stage for you to have the opportunity to do as much long-term care business as you are willing to entertain, okay? And again, as I said a couple minutes ago, this isn't a new story, but we feel as though that it is one that you need to listen to again, okay? Agents tell us every day, our marketing team, we're on the phone all day, every day. And it's a very rare conversation that we have with an agent in the field, no matter what line the agent professes to specialize in. It's a rare conversation where we don't hear some version of the story that the agents need more people to talk to. They need leads, okay? Well, this high awareness that I alluded to a couple of minutes ago, that is a gigantic factor. It is a new element to this. There is talk in Washington, and a lot of you I know are from Washington, okay? There is still talk about the long-term care payroll tax run that took place in 2021. And for those of you that are in states not named Washington, there are a handful of states that everything we're seeing tells us are queuing up to be next in this game. So the awareness is going to continue to be at a high level, and there's a great likelihood based on the population in some of these states that are next up that awareness is going to soar to even higher levels than we contemplated. And that just makes this opportunity so much better. But you need to believe us when we tell you that waiting until the opportunity drives into a parking space at your office and parks or where you do business, if you wait to that point in time, you will have been left behind and you won't even realize it. That's why we are spending the time today to talk to you about getting prepped for this and to start this process. Okay, and again, awareness is going to spread. One of the states that is believed to be next up, and what we don't know here, because we don't track legislatures all over the country, is we don't know where the different legislative pieces are that are in place in a California or a Michigan or an Illinois, and these are three gigantic states in terms of population that everyone believes are in that next queue, okay? But it is virtually certain that this awareness is going to spread simply by the number of people that are going to be subject to this long-term care payroll tax run. So it's exciting. It was overwhelming at times when we were dealing with it in Washington, but it's exciting to see us have another chance as an industry. It's exciting to talk to a group of agents today that are going to have this opportunity as well. Okay, the market. A lot of these things are not going to be unfamiliar to you. What I call the 90% factor, all right? Right now today, before a state like California or Michigan or Minnesota or any of the other ones that are debating this topic, before they take the actual steps to put in place a structure for their payroll tax, okay, you have 90% of the people in your universe in that state, those states. 90% of those people have never had a conversation about protecting their retirement plan. And let's be candid, that is what long-term care does. Okay, there's a lot of other language around it, a lot of other negative connotation around it, which we choose not to spend any time talking about, so dismiss that. 90% of the people that are in your book of business, 90% of the people that you attend church with on Sunday, 90% of the people that are at the golf club that you are a member of or where you play golf, 90% of the people that work at your spouse's job, if your spouse or partner has a job, 90% of all of these different groups of people have never had someone offer to help them protect their retirement plan. Okay? What that means is that staring all of us collectively in the face out there queuing up and frankly, at some level, needing help and not realizing that they need help. That is about 101 million prospects. And what that means is if you need people to talk to, they're already there. But if you're going to wait for them to initiate a conversation with you, it may not happen. And think about this for a second, because I've heard a lot from agents that they're reluctant to initiate conversation with people that are in their closer circle. All right. These people know what you do. They've probably known what you've done for a long time. You interact with them socially. They're actually probably more surprised that you haven't approached them than they would be surprised if you did approach them. And it doesn't have to be anything more complicated, as I said a minute ago, than it's always Bob and Carol Davis. Those are our prospects. Hey, Bob, I wanted to ask you a question because I've modified what I do in my practice. And I was wondering who's helping you protect your retirement plan. Okay, I can assure you that's going to engage them in a conversation because they're not expecting that conversation. And frankly, they don't really know what it means. And as I told you before, because they're in the 90% up here, no one's ever asked them about that. So you have a significant advantage, if you want to call it that, with it. All right. And the other part, when you add all of this together, there is about, last I checked, the total of retirement plan balances, IRAs, Roths, 401ks, 403bs, teacher accounts, all those different things, $7 trillion is sitting there. $7 trillion is at some level at risk. And we'll talk more in a minute about what that risk looks like and how quickly it can wipe something out. But that's a big number to chew on. So take just a small bite, savor it, contemplate it a little bit, because these things are the direction that you want to be going. So the $100,000 question, all right, the average balance in a 401k, 403b, et cetera, account, the average balance is about 100 grand. Okay, keep in mind, that's an average number. That takes into account Bob Davis, who's 63 years old, and he and his wife have significantly more than that. And it also takes into account Freddie Jones, who's 33 and has really just actively got into planning for retirement and starting to put money into that 401k plan or whatever the various opportunities that they have are. Okay, so now a gaping hole. What does a gaping hole really look like? Okay, I'll tell you what it looks like. Bob Davis. All right, we're going to say for easy math that Bob's got 200 grand in his personal 401k, and Bob has a stroke when he's 62 years old. All right, he survives the stroke. The anticipation is he's going to get back to 100%, and it's going to be a long road. Probably going to take about a year for him to recover and rehab and do the different things he needs to do to get back to work. All right, but he's not going to be able to do it on his own. He's going to need help, and initially, because of where he's at physically, he's going to need somebody to help him do the things you hear us talk about all the time. Getting up, getting dressed. He may need somebody to drive him to a a doctor's appointment or a physical therapy appointment, any of these different things, he is basically going to need somebody to help him with those activities of daily living. And he's going to need it 8 to 10 hours a day because Carol's got a job. And so she's not available to take care of all this kind of stuff without really compounding this gaping hole. Okay. So, and because Bob lives in Western Washington, we know that the cost of this for 10 hours a day is going to let's just say for easy math, it's anticipated to be $75,000 for the 12-month period of time that they believe his rehabilitation will take. All right. Okay. And these different things aren't going to be covered by health insurance. Okay. So now we need 70, but guess what? To get 70, you're going to need to take out 100 to 120 because you got to pay early withdrawal penalty. No way around that. Okay. And then you got to pay the interest on the growth there. Okay. Because this is all pre-tax money. So now you're talking $110,000 out of a $200,000 pile of money. That is what a gaping hole looks like. That is the damage that an unplanned change in health will do to a retirement plan. And that happens whether they're working actively or retired. If they haven't taken these steps, that retirement plan is going to largely be scuttled. So now, your part in stopping this is initiating this conversation that we talked about. You've heard me talk about it in other webinars, protecting the American dream. But you gotta not sit there in your metaphorical office and wait for somebody to stand in your metaphorical doorway and refuse to leave until you write them a policy. Okay, you need to reach out to them. They are more aware now of the need for long-term care and what long-term care is about than they ever have been. And that's a great thing for our industry to have on our side, okay? Because they're aware that these kinds of things can be problematic, and all you're doing now is doing the right thing by asking them to talk to them about protecting that, okay? And again, you do this, you continually engage in this conversation, and you're going to position them to make sure there are retirement money available, all right? Remember, when we take all the fancy terminology, home care and assisted living and all that stuff out, long-term care is a revenue stream that is activated when very specific criteria are met, okay? And for the most part, anything that supports the plan of care that is put in place when Bob Davis is in the aftermath of that stroke, anything that supports that plan of care is eligible to be paid for, all right? And if you don't have this revenue stream in place, guess what you get? You get the gaping hole, okay? So the solutions that we've got now, what is it that makes them better? All right, well, we've got the ability to really specifically target these solutions based on how these things are constructed, the different pay models that are available, the different qualification models that are available. And as you have your conversation with folks and you find out that they're at increased awareness, means that they understand about hybrids, or they've heard about hybrids and they want to talk about that, okay? You can check that box off. If you've got somebody that's a little nicked up health-wise and maybe going with a hybrid that has a little bit less of an underwriting gauntlet to run through, maybe you need that, you can check that box, okay? The important thing is you're going to be able to make these plans appealing and affordable. And once we initiate this conversation with them, you want to drive this thing to the price point where affordability lives. Our old general manager here used to talk about that, and people kind of scoffed, but it's never been more important than it is right now. And these carriers make that opportunity available, okay? And this group of carriers in the traditional space, these carriers make specifically different things available that make this opportunity better than it's been before. LifeSecure gives you the ability to work in what in the old days they called the group space. It's now called worksite. And you can go all the way down to a small company that's, as long as they're willing to make a commitment to give LifeSecure 10 applications, including spouses, you can validate that. Okay, so if they're serious about going this route, and we saw a ton of this in Washington, if they're serious about going this route, this will work. Okay, National Guardian Life, they've got a third pool shared care benefit. Okay, that means that if Bob's got 200 grand and Carol's got 200 grand that they buy in each of their individual pools, if Bob needs more help, rather than taking it out of Carol's pool, he can take it out of that third pool. All right, this was in vogue probably 15 years or so ago, and it kind of faded away. Well, NGL was willing to take a flyer on it, and it is a really exciting opportunity because it makes that option available when you've got folks that are really gunned up about shared care. And they also do some things with 10 pays and such. And they've also got a couples rate that is really, really favorable. Okay. So when you've got some of those checkoffs, and we can help you develop your own list of checkoffs, NGL is the way to go. Okay. Thrivent, they're the only carrier that goes below age 30. If you've got a young couple that is driven to do this, perhaps because of awareness of it within their family or any number of different factors, okay? They've got the ability to go below age 30, and they also go up to $15,000 starting benefit. So if you've got somebody that really wants a big chunk of long-term care to start with, Thrivent presents some options that we didn't really take much time to consider before, but now as people are asking more difficult questions and want to know how to deal with higher levels of expenses than what you've had before, Thrivent takes care of that. And Mutual of Omaha, now the Lion, used to be the Chief. Okay, Mutual of Omaha's got its cash benefit, and it's got inflation options that go all the way down to 1% in quarter point increments. It's also got capped options, 20-year, 15-year, 10-year, a number of different ways in terms of price point that you can get folks to a position where they have that affordability. They also make available the common employer discount, so that if you've got a Bob Davis in your universe who runs a landscaping company and he wants to make this available to his folks, okay, they can pick up a 5% discount, and you'll be amazed at what kind of backflips people will do for a 5% discount. They can pick that discount up simply by sending in 5 employee applications at the same time at the beginning of the process. Just another way to engage people, another way for them to feel like they are getting additional value as they contemplate this, okay? So you've heard me talk about this a lot, okay? No matter what you do, no matter which carrier you choose to work with, long-term care is a penny on the dollar proposition. And one of the ways we are going to talk to you about configuring long-term care now going forward is something called the front load. And Aaron will talk about this a little bit more. He's got some cool graphs and charts and things like this. But the front load, basically the position with the front load is this. Rather than buying a policy and waiting for it to grow for 20 to 25 years to get to a point where it really makes sense, why not give them everything now? Rather than sell them $5 grand a month out of a pool of 180, which is like right down the middle lane of what we see all the time with 3% compound inflation, okay? Why not give them $8 grand a month, okay? And give them that $8 grand a month out of a pool of 400,000. And you'll see, again, you'll see this here in some of these charts that are coming up there. But you give them that now, and you do 3 cool things. First of all, the driver for price overall is inflation. The inflation options that you select are the most responsible for the cost that your prospect sees with regard to long-term care, okay? In the event that there would be rate increases down the road, they are going to be the primary driver of rate increases, all right? And I think this right here is more important than we ever gave it credit for previously, and that is get them where they need to be now. I would hazard a guess that with the number of people we've got on our call here, and I think this is probably the highest attendance we've had in a long time, and that's because of Aaron, I'm sure. But my point is, with this number of people on the call, I'm almost positive that each and every one of you has had a situation where someone you know of or someone you personally know had some sort of an event that led to them needing long-term care and either not having it or not having as much of it as they really kind of thought in their mind they were going to have later on when they really truly needed it. Okay, well, if you follow through with this front load, what you're doing, Siri interrupting, she wanted me to repeat that. If you follow through with this front load, what you're doing here is you're introducing a whole new concept to this. You are taking the intermediate risk off the table. You see, when Bob Davis bought his policy, he walked out of that appointment and he and Carol were talking about the fact that they were going to have $350,000 each in 25 years because the 3% compound inflation was going to make that grow. Okay, $350,000 in 25 years. Well, guess what? Bob needed that policy a lot sooner than anybody thought, and that intermediate risk became a significant issue for them as they went forward. Okay, we're going to help you take that off the table. Don't worry about the partnership, because I know that the questions are coming and the hands are going up and everything else. The partnership, whether we like it or not, the truth of the matter is that the partnership concept passed through viability 7 or 8 years ago. Okay, partnership is not anywhere near as important as making sure these people have enough long-term care benefit to pay the cost if they need to do something now. All right, so as noted previously, here are some of the cool charts that we're talking about, one of which is this idea here, as I said before, $5,000 a month, pool of 180 with 3% compound inflation. As you can see, in 20 years, it almost doubles, almost, okay? But the question is, what happens if your prospect needs help in here? Are they better off to have this number back here by virtue of the front load? You see where I'm going? Okay. Another great example here, kind of adding that other layer in there. Okay. So, same idea, $5,000, pool of 180K. 20 years, it's going to grow to 325. But when you use the front load, guess what? They've had 400 grand since the beginning. If something not so crazy happens in here, they've got everything they need. It may turn out to be a better solution than what you would think. And it may be something, because it's such a very, very different way of looking at it, this may turn out to be something that your clients embrace, okay? Looking at it a little bit more precisely with the math and I think it's a rule of 72 and all this other kind of stuff, it's going to take, Bob Davis is going to have to own that policy for 20 years to break even on where he was. If he uses the old process, the 3% compound process, if he gets away from that, okay, he's got what he needs right now. There's no worrying about having to break even. And you only need to have 1 or 2 clients need help sooner for this to really be driven home as a concept, okay? So there is a proven way to do this, and we're going to take a look at that. And it really comes down to this question right here. And for this piece of the puzzle, I'm going to turn this over to our marketing technologist, Aaron. He's got some very specific ideas for you in terms of how to move forward. So Aaron, I'm going to mute myself and turn this over to you, and
Okay.
You take it away.
Thanks, Mike. Before you hit mute, when we were talking about this before, you were telling me that the $400,000 pool, if I remember right, it's actually a couple $1,000s a year cheaper. And so not only
Yes.
is it more money up front, it's easier to sell because it's a lower ticket sale for your customers.
Yes.
So
yes.
that's
From a price
pretty
basis, it's a better way to go. Yep, you're right.
So any chance you could give me the control to share my screen?
You bet. Let's see here.
We'll do the GoToWebinar shuffle.
All right, the GoToWebinar shuffle. Aaron Cassover now has control.
Okay. I'm going to share my screen.
Here we go. And I'm muting.
And I get the fun part of this. I have to take credit for the fun part, which is putting this into action. And so Mike's talked about kind of the products, the theory, kind of that side. And when Mike and I were talking about this, some things that really stuck out to me were, the commissions, because these, this is a longer life policy than we usually see. These don't get changed every year. And so I think, Mike, you said the average first year commission on a long-term care sale was almost $1,700. And
yes,
the persistency, 98% persistency. So once you make a sale, it stays on your books for a long time. And so we were calculating this out. If you make 10 sales a year, not a ton of sales, less than one a month, after 5 years with renewals, you're looking at about $50,000 in commissions. And that number just keeps growing. And so it's, this is one of these types of businesses where you do a little bit every year and it grows and grows and grows. The challenge, of course, is that you have to find your prospects. You have to create opportunities. And that's always the challenge. A lot of us are used to other things where there's an annual enrollment. You go and you talk to the customers every year. You might change their products every year. That's not the name of the game with this. And so instead, we have to think a little differently. We have to think about, going out and systematically finding new prospects consistently over time. And so the thing I think about is, Mike talked about these products. If you go and you get your contracts and you get ready to sell long-term care, you're super excited because you know about the opportunity, you know about the need, and then you come back to your desk and you think, okay, I need to start finding some prospects. And so this is a question I have for all of you on the webinar right now. And maybe you could go into the chat box and just think about this. If you wanted to start making long-term care sales, how would you go about finding your next prospect? How would you go about just going from I have the contracts in place to I have a customer to talk to? Type it in the chat. And Mike, if I could ask, I know you're about to mute yourself and I keep pulling you back off. Could you look in the chat and just tell me kind of what people are saying about how they would go and find that prospect?
I will do that. I won't name anybody by name. I will just throw out the ideas. So you will retain anonymity while you give us your honest answer about how you're going to go about doing this.
It's a hard question. I don't know, maybe the answers aren't flowing in because it is a hard question. And some of the ways I've heard are, well, I could do a direct mail campaign. I could go write a letter, put it in an envelope, just put a stamp on it. It's going to cost me about $1 a piece. Send all my clients this letter and hope that somebody calls me back. That's one. Or buying lists, buying leads, or hoping that you talk to a customer about something else and then you can kind of drop this in and say, oh, by the way. Or Mike was talking about going and just talking to your neighbors and your friends and your spouse's coworkers and just kind of going and trying to search that way. Anything else coming in the chat, Mike?
Yeah, we got a couple things. One, you'd mentioned a minute ago, direct mail, existing clients. Another was children of existing clients. And in both cases here, I think these are agents that do a lot of work in that senior space. And those are both great ideas. Social media, just popped in here, and I know that Aaron has a lot of really strong positive thoughts about social media because he spends a lot of time addressing it in his primary business. So it is a growing opportunity, and I think the truth is as an industry, we haven't really figured out 100% of how we can harness social media to help us. But if you engage in something like that, I suspect you're probably going to find out things about it that you didn't contemplate. But none of that is bad. And then people that give financial advice for so influencers is the next one. People that give financial advice to folks over the age of 40, P&C property list, and work with maybe partner with other agencies. There's some other good stuff coming in. This is great. Once we got a couple, everybody came roaring in, which is fantastic. But P&C partners and P&C close references that they have, folks that don't want to get involved with long-term care but work with them on that. That's a story that we've told a lot. Okay. And also birthday cards is another idea. Birthday lists and cards, just another way to, mine the existing resources that you've got.
Yeah, this is a fantastic list.
Yep, retirement account folks, financial advisors, accountants, other things. Centers of influence. We talked about that extensively when we were prepping to run the state of Washington deal, and it turned out that so many people came out of the woodwork that we didn't even have time to really engage with centers of influence. We talked about CPAs and we talked about some of these other kinds of things, but in a normal, more sedate environment, those are great opportunities. They are great resources to work out. Depending on your state, you have the ability quite likely to do some sort of a referral fee back. In some cases, you might be able to do some official, unofficial splits. So a lot of different ways to go about it.
That list right there is fantastic. And every single thing that you all have sent in via chat is something that you should put into place over time. And the agents that are doing really well, making well into the six-figure income, multiple six figures, are doing all of those things consistently as part of their business. And it takes work. There isn't a silver bullet. There isn't a magic wand. There isn't a way to just wave your hands or snap your fingers. All those things take work. It's going to take some time, some effort, some investment, some patience. You're going to see that over the years it will work. But for the first 90 days to 120 days, it's not going to produce immediate results. And you do expect that. You need to know that you're planting seeds today that you will harvest in the fall. I want to show you something that we have. This is based on our Agent Methods platform, it's a marketing platform built for helping independent agents go out and market. That this is what I would do. So, today after this webinar, I call Mike up and I'm like, Mike, I'm in. I get all my contracts ready. And this is how I'm going to start getting meetings this week, or right away, to not have to wait 120 days before I see my first sale, or not have to keep my fingers crossed that somebody walks in the door. So I'm just going to leave the presentation for a second. I'm going to jump over to, this is my website. It's a demo site, SeattleInsurancePartners.com. It's live on the web. And so I had to put fake phone numbers in here because people were calling. I was getting those pesky customers wanting to come and buy insurance from me. It still generates leads, even though it's just a demo site. And so the first thing that I would do is, step one is I don't have long-term care on my site. And I'm sending customers there all day. It's in my email signature. I am using it as the launching point to schedule meetings with me, to generate leads, to educate my customers. And so I want to make sure that the long-term care story is on my site. And so the first thing I'll do is I'm just going to go in, I'm going to add long-term care, and I'll show you how the Agent Methods platform makes it really easy. And I imagine those of you that have websites are thinking, okay, yeah, I know, I'm going to have to spend a weekend, write a bunch of copy, and they have to call that webmaster who's on a skiing trip, and hopefully they're back, and then pay them $100 an hour to make those changes. We're going to take that all out of the equation. I'm in the Agent Methods dashboard. I'm just going to quickly go to my website, and I'm going to add a section. I'm going to creatively call long-term care. And what I'll do is I'm just going to go in and grab Agent Methods. There's a built-in content library that covers pretty much all the products that you're going to be focusing on. Certainly life and health, long-term care, critical illness, lots of senior market, Medicare, final expense, as well as P&C and other types of products. So I'll just say long-term care, and this will grab the long-term care from the library and put it into this section. So I'll save this and then go back to my site, and I'll just hit refresh, and you'll see that now we've got long-term care. And right away, there's a bunch of good content here that people can go to and learn about long-term care. And so when I send people to my site, they're going to see that, and they're going to start to read about this, and that's going to start to increase the rate of people just asking me questions. Just organically, my customers get exposed to it. And that's good. That's good. But I will still need to wait some time. It's kind of a passive process. And so the next thing I want to do is just something more active. And I want to go out and actively market to all of my existing customers, to cross-market. I know that was something that was mentioned a few times, cross-marketing to within other products, or cross-marketing with a P&C agency or a financial advisor. Running these cross-marketing campaigns is a really effective, in fact, I would say it is the most effective marketing strategy you can put in place, because there's already an established relationship of trust, and there is already a proven behavior of them buying. And so these are customers that have done the thing you want to have them do in the past, which makes them much more likely to do it again in the future. And so going back into the Agent Methods platform, I'll just go into our email marketing system. And this is really a very automated way to do email marketing, primarily for cross-marketing, to introduce your audience to new things, to educate them on new products, new risks they might be exposed to. And I'll go in and say, this is March. Let's go in and set up a campaign to go out in March. So I'll just click on Setup. And this opens up the library of email campaigns, and there's tons of them. We add about 5 new campaigns a week to the library, and they are on all types of products. And there's also holiday, so Happy Independence Day, Happy Thanksgiving, Happy New Year. And there's also some client education stuff, and referral campaigns, social media follow campaigns. But right now, I want to get some long-term care sales. And so I'll go into categories, and I will choose long-term care. And so right now, we have a couple campaigns. And I'll just go and grab this Who Will Care For You. It's an email that really talks about the risk, and gets people to reach out if this resonates with them. And so I will say proceed. And so the first thing that we do is we automatically create a landing page on your website. And so without you lifting a finger, I'll just go and click through and show you the page. So we create this page that our campaign drives your prospects to. And the beauty of a landing page is that it's all about getting your prospect to do the one thing you want them to do. And so the navigation's gone. They can't browse and get lost. They can't start reading your blog and spring planting tips. They're not going to go and start looking at other products and then get distracted and move on. There's one thing they can do, which is request to talk to you about long-term care. And so they come to this page, automatically set up. If I wanted to go in and change the text, I could. If I want to go in and change the picture, I can. But the idea here is this is super fast, super easy. It's ready to go. And so then I will continue. And now we create the email. And so again, this email is ready to send. And if you want to, you can go in and make some changes. We already personalize it, so it's going to have your customer or contact's first name. It's going to put in your phone number. You can see, my 555-4444 fake phone number. is put in there. It's got my name. And then this big red button, this is the call to action that links back to that landing page. And so I do this, I click on, I'll send a test to myself just to see it. I'll click on schedule. And then I'll just confirm it's coming from me, coming from this email. I can now apply filters. And so I can say, I want this to go to, just my health customers. And my life, I'll say health and life. My Medicare customers, I think probably, for reasons I believe, they're not the prospects I want to talk to right now. So you can segment out your list however you want. It can be by products, it can be by location. So you could say, I'm going to send this out to the New Jersey customers, but not the New York customers. It can be by, business versus individual. So you segment out your list and decide who should get this campaign. And then finally, we'll schedule it. So we'll say, let's go have this go tomorrow morning, 9:45. I click on schedule and I'm done. I'm done. And so now tomorrow morning, what's going to happen is this email will get sent out from our system directly to all of my prospects, all of my contacts that are life and health customers. They'll get that email, they'll open it up, and a percent of them will click through and request to talk to me. And we've seen that the response rates on this are, if these are your existing relationships, the response rates end up being really good. And so I have some examples. I talked to an agent recently. The very first email they sent out was about annuities, and within 48 hours, they'd sold $250,000 in annuities. So they've gone from nothing to $250,000 in annuity sales in 48 hours. Another agent was critical illness was a new product for them, and they had 197 contacts on their list, cross-marketing into Medicare customers. And they scheduled the email to go out Tuesday morning. Tuesday afternoon, they had 14 appointments scheduled off of that list. This works. And you can see that in a matter of minutes, and I know I'm going pretty fast, but in a matter of minutes, I was able to go in, add long-term care to my website so that customers can go and read about it, create a landing page that my campaign goes to so that people can go and request information about long-term care, and then set up and schedule an email to go out tomorrow morning to start bringing in prospects 24 hours from now. And when we think about the other ways of marketing, we think about direct mail or influencer marketing, reaching out to partners. All those great ideas that were mentioned before are all things that you should do, but they're going to take time. You're not going to get a sale tomorrow. You're not going to bring in a prospect tomorrow. And this platform will do that for you. It's easy to use, it's fast, it works. So that's how I would find my next prospect. I'm just going to go back here, and there's a lot more to the Agent Methods platform. I really focused on this cross-marketing piece. It's a website platform built from the ground up for independent agents. It's built for you and your needs. And so all of the things that you need to be successful are baked into it. There's hands-free content marketing, and we think of content marketing as a way to strengthen your trusting relationship so that all of your customers, all of your prospects, your audience is hearing from you in a good, educational, informative way every single month. So they don't forget about you, they like you, they trust you, they know you, and you're the person they go to whenever they have a need or a question. And then we have social media. We can manage your Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter accounts so that we fill those up with great content so that your audience sees that you're active there and you're engaged and they're learning from you. And then we do monthly email newsletters. So once a month, a newsletter comes out from you, personalized to you, and it has great content that they have super high open rates because they're built around the kinds of things that your customers care about. All this is stuff that's almost hands-free. It's super fast, it's super easy to use, and it will start bringing in your prospects to talk to you about long-term care tomorrow, which is the magic. So the Agent Methods platform There is a discount there. Of course, there is a cost to use it, but compared to the value of the sales, the cost is very negligible. But there's a discount for AIM agents. And so the way that you get this discount is you go to agentmethods.com and you'll see a button right there that says schedule a live demo. Take a second, click on that, schedule a time, and that will lock in your discount. And so when you get on the demo, just make sure that we know that you came to us from AIM, and so we can give you the discount. And go there, we can show you this again in more detail. We can answer all of your questions about how this could work to speed up your marketing, to help you generate more sales and get better results with long-term care and really all the products that you sell. So with that, Mike, let me pass back to you.
Thank you. Do me a favor, Aaron, and back up 2 slides to the list of, there we go. Okay. Before we finish up, I want everybody out there to think about this, okay? You're in the sales business, all right? So ask yourself how much acuity you have and skill, what your skill level is in terms of developing content marketing or social media or managing newsletter or email campaigns, all these different things, building websites, okay? Because there is a cost for this, but I can tell you, because I know how to write, I did that as part of my alternate life for about 20 years, and I've been pretty successful doing this right here. But website building and social media, those kinds of things, that's not in my wheelhouse. And paying for this to free up time for you to do the thing you do best and do the thing you have a developed and acknowledged skill level for, I think it's pretty hard to say that it doesn't make sense to do that, simply because this is going to take that off your plate, allow you to deal with that very quickly and get back to the thing that makes money for you, and that is sales. So I'd urge you to, and I'm not a commission salesman for Aaron's, the piece with the Agent Methods. We don't make anything on that. We're just offering it through our partnership there to try to help you all do more of what you want to do. So if you would go ahead and advance to the closeout slide then, Aaron, thank you. Okay, so the takeaways for today, all right? You need to get licensed, and you need to get licensed with all these long-term care options so that you're prepared, okay? And the reason that you need to get licensed is because the marketplace has changed. There is no more, I'll get licensed if I'm going to write a piece of business, because that is a compliance violation, and the carriers don't care. They don't care for that. They're not going to stand for that anymore. If you are going to represent carrier X out there, you need to be, and if you read your agent contracting information and your agent agreement with carrier X, you're going to see that it says right there that you can't represent that carrier until you are fully appointed for that carrier. All right, and we can help you with all of that. We've got a snappy online contracting system that we can move you through this and have you up and running with all of our carriers in very short order. Okay, so that's going to come up, number one, when you talk to our marketers on the follow-up calls today. Number two, your continuing education has to be current regardless. There are no exemptions, there are no grandfathering, okay? I know that a lot of you out there have been doing this for a long, long time, and you're grandfathered out of what I'm going to call traditional CE, but long-term care CE is a different cat, and you have to be current with the partnerships and policies course, the initial 8-hour and then the 4-hour refreshers. You've got to have that taken care of, and you've got to have current E&O. We have an E&O program here at AIM that we can make available to you. From what I understand, it's really, really affordable, okay? After you get all that done, then call one of our marketers, Anthony, Nick, Don, myself. Give us a call. We'll help you get prepped for that next long-term care conversation that you're going to have. And then the last piece of this, and really it should be right there in the middle, is schedule your demo with Agent Methods so you can get that set up and you can start this marketing campaign and these emails and these different kinds of things, and get that presence out there that you, in all likelihood, don't have. You can get that taken care of right away and get that up and running. So I'm going to go ahead and open up for questions. As I always say at this point in the presentation, if you don't plan to ask a question, because I'm going to try to unmute everybody, it'd be great if you could self-mute with a *6, or if you have a mute on your phone, you can do that. That way we don't get dogs barking, whistling tea kettle, somebody making a sales call at the same time while we're doing this. So I'm going to go ahead and unmute everybody just like it says there. Okay, so questions. Looks like most everybody stayed muted, and we certainly appreciate you doing that just to keep the volume down. Anybody with any questions specific to the various topics that we covered here? Again, you can go to agentmethods.com and schedule a one-on-one demo that'll lock down that discount that AIM appointed agents get and give you the opportunity to get rolling on that right away. So, all right, well, we're not getting a bunch of questions, Aaron, so I think this is kind of the webinar version of a no-hitter, which means we covered everything well. I certainly appreciate Aaron making his time and expertise available to this large group of agents that we had on the call today. As always, Courtney does a great job of getting all the detail work taken care of for us, and basically we just have to walk out on stage when everybody's in the audience is ready to go and take care of what we do. So next up on the webinar schedule next week on Wednesday, Nick Flowers will be on the call, and he will be taking everybody through some of the basics and our carrier options for our dental vision programs. So and again, takeaways: licensing, CE and E&O are important. Schedule your demo at the Agent Methods website. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and shut everything down. Aaron, Courtney, thanks. Everybody out there, thanks for making your time available. And we'll be talking to you soon. Bye now.